Hello, Wonderhussy here, standing in the middle of the desert at a place, believe it or not, I mean, it doesn't look like there's much around me, but this is a place I've been trying to get to for a long time. Somebody emailed me about this place and said there's some very rare classic cars abandoned in the desert over there. Now, I'm not a car person. I don't know anything about a car. I don't know a differential from my elbow. And I can't even find the email where the person originally emailed me about it because he did include information. I think at least one of these cars out here is supposedly like super rare and collectible. So it looks to me like we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars. I'm gonna go around them all one by one and you tell me if any of these cars are worth anything. Okay, here's the first car we'll check out. It looked like kind of sporty to me. Looks like something that would go real fast. See if there's an emblem on it now. Okay, let me look around the front. That's the only way I can tell what these old cars are. I don't know anything about cars. I would guess it dates from the 1970s. And, it went fast. That's all I can tell you. Oh, it was a Ford. Look at that. Ford Werke AG Köln, Western Germany. This Ford was actually built in Cologne, Germany. And from the fact that it says Western Germany, we know the car was built before the fall of the Berlin Wall in, what was that, 1989? Well, I was guessing this was a 70s car, so that's really not much of a surprise. Anyway, I think that's pretty interesting. This thing was made in Germany. I didn't think that many Fords were made in Germany, and somebody had to have it shipped all the way over here. That's wild. Type ECJ. Well, the engine's missing. You'd have to do quite a bit of work on her to get her back in running condition, but on the plus side, the upholstery is still semi-intact on the back seats. I mean, were those even back seats? This is such a small interior. I guess there must have been a driver's seat and a passenger and then a real tiny little back seat back there. Let's look in the driver's window. Oh man, I can't tell anything looking at that. Okay, that's car number 1. Anybody remember driving a car like this back in the day? Anybody ever get a gal pregnant in the back of one of these things? Probably unlikely considering how small that back seat was. I'm gonna guess there was no nookie going on in a car like this. A car like this, on the other hand, had plenty of room for nookie. In fact, a car like this had room for Clara Bow and the entire USC football team to get it on. I mean, look at the size of that back seat. I mean, they just don't make them like that anymore. Okay, this was something called a Wildcat, it looks like. And I don't know who made a Wildcat, but I'll bet you anything if I snoop around, I'll figure it out. Beautiful grill. Oh my goodness. Cars just aren't cars anymore. You know what I mean? Oh, look at that. Body by Fisher. Oh, and then it says General Motors Corporation, so it was some kind of GM Wildcat. I mean, look at the roof is just totally crushed in, so we can't even really see inside the interior. Can't really get a very good gander at the dashboard, but it does look pretty old. I mean, I'd guess this car here's from the 60s. It's got some pretty nice fins. That's what made me think it was like 1960s. Oh, what's this? There's a kind of like a bumper sticker on the back. Criterion Insurance Company. They're probably not even in business anymore. Okay, let's move over here to car number 3. Gosh, it looks old, real old. I mean, just going by that door handle, that looks like it was definitely from the 70s at the latest, I would guess. This isn't quite as stylish as the other two. This looks more like a boxy sedan. Kind of a utilitarian family car, maybe. Traveling salesman would have driven something like this. In fact, maybe that's what happened to this car. You know, the story of the old traveling salesman driving along the lonely country road and it's getting dark and there's a storm brewing and he's got to pull over for the night. So there's an old farmhouse and walks up and knocks on the door, asks the farmer if he can spend the night. And the story always goes that, well, sure, you can spend the night, but you have to sleep in the barn with my daughter, or I don't know, it always ends up with the salesman hooking up with the daughter. I'm not sure there was ever a farm out here with a buxom farm girl, but I don't know, maybe a traveling salesman was driving along through the desert and it was a dark and stormy night and he needed a place to pull over. And, well, unfortunately, he ended up in this vortex of killer cannibal dystopian Mad Max type car thieves, and they got rid of him and, well, made short work of his car. I don't know. All I know is this car is toast. Okay, any guesses on this? I mean, there is not much to go by. Where's the little tag on this one? Oh, here. BMW. Oh, doesn't that say something about BMW? Windshield wiper, blah, blah, blah. Oh, is this a Beamer? Oh, forget I said anything about a traveling salesman. This was probably actually a very fancy car. In fact, that does look like the front end of a BMW, kind of. Huh. Well, first we had that German Ford. Now we got a Beamer. Could it be there was some Germans out here? Germans in the desert? Och du lieber! I can't imagine. Just kidding. Germans love the desert, as anyone who watched my Death Valley Germans video is surely aware of. Okay, so this was some kind of little Beamer? I'm still not sure about that. I mean, golly, it had to be a real old one. Go back and look at the back again. It has like a really interesting trunk. It's kind of a square trunk. I mean, unfortunately, we can't even open it because it's so dented and bent. I have no clues. Anybody watching have any idea what car number 3 was? Okay, let's move on to car number 4. Laying upside down like a turtle on its back. This looks like it was a huge beast of an American-made car, I would guess. Gosh, because it's upside down, I feel like it's going to be even more tricky to figure out. Oh, well, let me just turn upside down and look at it. Oh my god, I bet whatever this car was, I bet it was badass. I mean, yeah, there's bullet holes in the door, but not too many. I guess I don't think that many people know about these cars. It's like, look how old this handle is. Oh my god. This is like unmarked and it's way out in an unnamed part of the desert, so it's not like on anybody's radar. All right, there's probably already 10,000 people who know exactly what make, model, and year this car was, but I am completely stumped on this one. You know, without being able to see the VIN number and that little plate that might have some information on it. Golly, I have zero idea about car number 4. We're already on car number 4. Golly, but the good news is there's still 4 more to go, and they are doozies. Okay, moving right along, here's car number 5, another ginormous land yacht from the Malaise era. I mean, this might even be pre-Malaise era. If you've never heard that term, Malaise era, it refers to cars from the Jimmy Carter age, okay? Because remember Jimmy Carter gave that speech talking about how we were in the depths of a national malaise, and he got bagged on for it, but I actually think there was a lot to what he was saying. Oh, look, an old whiskey bottle full of sand. Look. Anyway, I feel like we're in a national malaise now, too. There's a lot of parallels between the times we're living in now and the 70s, I feel like. That is with regards to everything but cars. Cars are nothing today like they were in the 70s. Oh, it looks like some ninny named Tiffany was out here and scratched her name in the door. Look at this. First of all, this thing was a gorgeous color. Goldenrod. It's like that classic color the refrigerators used to be back then. Oh, look, what does this say? Oh, that's just the VIN number, I guess, but there's no information as to what make or model it was, and it doesn't say on the steering wheel. I don't know. What do you guys think this car was? I'll take all the answers in the comments below. It's just kind of fun for me because I know nothing about this to try and see if I can figure it out, and just unfortunately just not any information to go on in this one. Looks like there was a big old speaker in the dashboard, so whoever was driving this thing was able to crank Aerosmith or whatever when he was driving down the highway and press all the chicks. I mean, can you imagine cruising the strip in this thing? Boy, talk about a chick magnet. Oh wait, look, there is some kind of sticker on the inside of the wheel well over here. What does this say? Engine 400 cubic inches, B family. Chrysler. It says Chrysler Corporation. It was some kind of Chrysler. Boy, that definitely checks out. I've got me a Chrysler. It seats about 20. So hurry up and bring your jukebox money. You know, you definitely could fit 20 people in that, and I'll cruise heading down the Atlanta highway. Looking for the love getaway. Headed for the love getaway. You know, another good thing about the desert, aside from it being the perfect environment for old cars, is it's a great place to sing as loud as you want without anybody complaining. Nasty comments aside. Okay, let's move on to car number 6. Now this car here probably not as glamorous. And I say that because it's one of those small little fuel efficient little economy cars that came to prominence after the malaise era, when everybody had to wait in line to buy gas and the Arab oil embargo and that whole mess went down. Well, they started building these little cars that didn't take as much gasoline as these giant land yachts used to. And this one here has a clue right away, right on the front. There's a Chevy thing. Look at that, still stuck on there. Looks like the first letter was a C. Well, I was gonna say Chevelle, but I think a Chevelle was a way bigger than this, wasn't it? I mean, when I think of a Chevelle, I think of a big muscle car. So this must have been like a little Chevy, maybe it was called Cheapo, C-H-E-A-P-O, the Chevy Cheapo. Anybody ever drive one of those? Well, let's look around and see if we can find any more clues. The engines are missing out of all these. I don't know if that's looters or what, but look down here. Here we got, there is a sticker here. Vehicle emissions information, General Motors Corporation. Well, just the fact that there is vehicle emissions information written on the vehicle lets me know that it dates from a much later era than these other cars. I mean, nobody gave a hoot about emissions in the days of these giant old boats. Like I said, the good old days. It almost sounds like a Gremlin, but I don't think that was a Chevy. That was AMC. See, even I know that. Let's look inside. Doo-doo-doo. Oh, can't see much. Doors are jammed shut. Oh man, it still has that funky smell. Like, you know when you get into somebody's car, like somebody's car that looks like this, and it kind of smells like a mix of cigarette smoke, like body odor, maybe a small whiff of cat urine in there. I've ridden in many cars that had that particular bouquet, and a lot of them kind of looked like this. All right, well, that's car number, what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was car number 6 already. So any guesses on what this thing was? It was some kind of Chevrolet. And now we're moving on to car number 7. Now car number 7 looks like it was some kind of speed demon in its day. Unfortunately, it's missing almost the whole front end. Oh, here's a little thingy here. What does this say? Oh, body by Fisher. Same thing. General Motors Corporation. Man, a lot of GM cars out here in the desert. I guess maybe that's just the way of things. Well, we did have that one Ford, and we did have that one possible Beamer, but otherwise it seems like they're all General Motors. General crap is more like it, at least now. Okay, let's look inside. Golly, it's just an unholy mess in here, but this is kind of cool. Look at the old seatbelt. You can still see the GM. General Motors. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I know there's one person in particular, if he's watching this video, that probably knows what every single one of these cars is, and that's, I have this German fan named Philip. Philip, if you're watching this, hi. He came over to the Death Valley compound once I met him, and really a nice guy. He was in town for the car show, SEMA, the car aftermarket show in Vegas, big trade show for the automotive industry. Came all the way from Germany because he is obsessed with classic cars. And when I say classic cars, I don't mean like from the 50s or 40s. I mean like from the 70s, 80s. He was obsessed with, like, I think General Motors was his thing, or maybe it was Mopar. I can't remember. All I know is he had like a Cutlass Supreme or something with a rooftop tent on it. I'm not kidding. This guy, he's a young guy. He was into all these old classic American boats as a young German guy. Apparently there's a whole scene where guys buy these old General Motors cars or Mopar or whatever and fix them up, and this dude was into camping, so he had a rooftop tent on. It was amazing. So yeah, Philip probably knows exactly what each and every one of these cars is, so comment below, Philip. Let us all know. Look, here's Tiffany. Tiffany scratched her name on this one too. Look at that, all the way back on April 20th, 2002. Tiffany, what are you up to nowadays, Tiff? Probably not much, methinks. Okay, well, I have really zero idea what this car was. So I'm just gonna go ahead. I'll do one last little pan over it. We'll move on to the last car, which is, in my opinion, the most interesting looking one out of all of them. It's like a giant kind of a, well, I would call it a station wagon, I guess. And it looks like it was used commercially, because on this side you can see it said something about something and furniture. Free estimates? What do you get estimates for furniture? That's weird. Anyway, as far as the car itself, it was a C10. Or on the front here. Oh, another Chevrolet. Chevy C10. Is that even a car? But look at the other side. There's even more information about what the business was that had this thing. Again, it says free estimates, Leon's. Okay, so some guy named Leon had a company doing furniture estimates. Gosh, I don't know. All I know is he had a badass car. I mean, look at the back of this thing. Well, first of all, it's got a tow hitch on it because this thing probably had a monster V8 and it could tow. Well, this thing could probably tow the entire city of Barstow all the way to Malibu. You know what I mean? Like, these old V8s had power. But look how big and roomy the back is. I mean, I guess, well, if it was a station wagon, there would have been seats back there, but somebody ripped them out. And so if you put a mattress back there, yeah, you could live in a car like this. You know, like van life, the old-timey equivalent of van life. Everybody else cruising around in their hippie microbuses. Well, this guy was smart. He goes, well, if I drive a VW microbus, all the police are going to know I have weed and mushrooms with me. But if I drive a station wagon, live in that, and, you know, go to all the Grateful Dead shows and do my thing, well, nobody will ever suspect me. Crafty Leon. Look at this. I don't know if you can see in the distance, but there is a car traveling by in the distance. Hold on, here it comes. Way off in the distance, there is a road and cars do pass by. Gosh, I don't even know if you can see that, you guys. I can see it. Yeah, you can see it just a little bit. Anyway, it's funny that cars blow by all the dang time and have no idea there's this amazing old car junkyard over here. Matter of fact, I myself have driven down this road many, many times, and I never knew this was here until that person emailed me about it. So if you're watching this video, I can't remember your name who emailed me, but thank you. This is actually really interesting. Okay, the front seat, big old bench seat, real tore up. The upholstery is, well, it still has some spring to it, but oh my God, look at that. This is like naga hide. You know, the kind that when you sat on it in the summertime, you got up, your thighs stuck to it. Look at the size of this glove box too. You keep everything in there, including the kitchen sink. Okay, well, that's the last car. That's number 8 in this fascinating car junkyard or classic car museum, classic car graveyard. I don't know what you would call this, but it is interesting that the engines have been taken out of all of them. So maybe there was some kind of chop shop out here. You know how at the very beginning of the video, back over where I parked, there were those posts driven in for some kind of shade structure and there were electrical boxes and stuff. What if there was an outlaw biker gang that had a compound out here that stole all these old cars and parted them out? And that could be what happened to that traveling salesman. Thought he was coming up on an old farmhouse and was going to get lucky and get to bang the farmer's daughter. Joke was on him. All he got was a punch in the face, and next thing you know, the engine was missing out of his Beamer. Yeah, because look here, here's these 2 giant railroad ties jammed into the earth. That looks like it could have been like an engine hoist or something back in the day. You know, isn't that something they do? Like maybe there was a bar across the top and they used that to hoist out the engines. Oh, hold on a minute. I just noticed something about this one that's laying on its upside down, and I couldn't figure out anything about it. Well, I don't know how I missed this, but look, down here, it says Cougar. It was a Cougar XR. Is that what that says? Okay, wow. So this was a Cougar. That was a Chevy Cheapo. That was a Chevy C10, C5. I already forgot. That was I don't think I had a clue, but it was some kind of General Motors. That was maybe a Beamer. This was some kind of Ford. Oh, wait, no, what was this? This was the Wildcat. This was General Motors. That was the Ford over there. Okay, so the person who emailed me said that at least one of these cars was of exceptional noteworthiness and I think value because of some weird thing with the doors or something. I don't know. I don't know anything about cars. So looking around this car graveyard, I would honestly have no idea which one of these cars was the most valuable. But I bet there's plenty of people watching this video, Philip included, that could probably tell me exactly which one of these cars was the most valuable. Oh gosh, I feel like I'm on a game show. What if this was like The Price is Right or Deal or No Deal, Let's Make a Deal, whatever, one of those shows. So they dropped me in this old classic car graveyard and I got to pick one car to take home with me, and then I could go, you know, sell it on eBay or whatever and make whatever money I could. So now the challenge for me would be, which car do I think is gonna net me the most money? Oh dear, now that money has entered the equation, things are a lot more difficult. I mean, if I was just gonna pick the coolest car that I would want, I would take that giant station wagon. But is this actually the rarest and most valuable car here? Probably not with my luck. I'd take this home. I'd go, okay, Bob, I'll go with Leon's station wagon. And then there would be like that ZONK sound effect. Wah, wah. Oh, Wonderhussy, you picked the ZONK. I'm sorry to tell you, but the value of that car is only 50 cents. Ugh, dang it, I knew it. Okay, well, by using reverse psychology, the car here that I find the least interesting or the least cool is that Chevy cheapo over there. So if I'm going with reverse psychology and I'm trying to pick the most valuable car because I know nothing about cars, well, since that one seems the lamest to me, that one's probably the most valuable one right there. You know, even though it's a post-malaise era hunk of junk that smells like cat piss and cigarette smoke, oh, there's probably some super duper rare attribute to this car that makes it very valuable in the collector's market. But watch, if I went, okay, Bob, Bob gave me a second chance because I zonked out on that. Well, Wonderhussy, you drove all the way out here. We're gonna go ahead and give you a second chance. Which one of the other 7 cars do you want to take home with you? And I go, okay, well, using reverse psychology, Bob, I'm going to go with the Chevy cheapo. Wah, wah, wah. Guaranteed I'd probably hear the same dang sound effect. That car there probably isn't worth a dime. Okay, so say I was real lucky and they gave me a third chance. Wonderhussy, we like your moxie. You drove all the way out here despite the fact that the weather was crummy. You didn't give up. We're going to let you pick one more car. What'll it be? Okay, now it's like on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire when that dun ominous music is playing and everybody's watching you and you're going, well, golly, it could be the bullet-ridden banana slug, or it could be the Cougar laying on its roof, or it could be that Beamer, or wait, it's probably that Ford, because that Ford was made in Germany, and that's, well, that would make it kind of rare, wouldn't it? Oh gosh, I don't know. Wonderhussy, one of these cars is worth $1 million, and it's up to you to pick the right one. Oh, talk about pressure. I could walk out of here with $1 million. Okay, well, I don't know the value of any of these cars, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick one from the remaining 6 cars that I didn't already, or wait. Well, I said I didn't want this one because it was too busted, right? Or did I say that? I don't think I would want this one. It's too busted. That one is too ugly and boring. And that one, well, I already found out it was only worth 50 cents. So it's between the other 5 cars. I have to pick the most valuable one. I don't know the values, but you guys probably do. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a car, and then everybody can tell me in the comments if I made a wise choice or if I got a zonk. Watch, that probably was the most valuable car right there, even though it is missing the front end. It probably has some like super valuable detail on the bumper or something, but oh well, too late. I said I didn't want that one. So it's either that, or that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the banana slug. You know, I feel like there's a lot of potential with this old hunk of junk. Even though it doesn't run anymore, I could, you know, jack it up, put it on a new chassis, put some fancy wheels on it, cruise it around on the playa at Burning Man. I'd have all the hottest sparkle ponies up there if I was driving this thing. So, okay, there you have it. There's my answer. Out of all these cars, I went and picked the banana slug. Tell me in the comments if I made a wise choice or if it was a zonk. But really just tell me in the comments which one, or maybe there's more than one of these cars that's valuable and worth money. I have no idea, but I'm genuinely curious now, having spent an hour walking around looking at them, so don't be shy. Let me know. I mean, for all I know, I was right from the get-go, and it is that station wagon. Win some, lose some. But I would definitely call this a win, actually, because I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of in a funky mood when I rolled up here, because I was gonna shoot some really cool videos earlier today, but the weather got in the way. It's not hot enough. You know, meanwhile, it's gonna be like 175 degrees probably starting next week, so I should enjoy this nice chilly weather while I have the chance, and this nice cloud cover, nice diffused light. It's good for shooting, makes me look less ugly on camera. I should be happy to be here. And as a matter of fact, I am happy to be here. This was, like I said, way more enjoyable than I thought it was gonna be. And it's kind of fun looking at these old cars, and I'm sure for a lot of you, reminiscing about the good old days. But I don't know. I had some thoughts about the notion or the concept of the good old days as I was driving over here. You know, everyone's always talking about the good old days and how much better things were back in the day, you know, make America great again. And I can be as guilty of that as anyone. In fact, as I was driving out here, I was thinking like, God, there's just so many dang people now. There's too many people. The national parks are too crowded. Cars are ugly. Gas is expensive. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I was reminded, I was snapped out of my misery by this quote I remembered from, of all people, Karl Lagerfeld. Okay, speaking of the Germans, you know Karl Lagerfeld. He was that guy who ran Chanel, the house of Chanel. He was a designer, and he had snow white hair. He powdered his hair. He had white hair and a ponytail, and he always wore black sunglasses and a starched collar and a black suit. He's like a real freak, man. Well, he had some really good quotes, and one of his quotes was, and I don't want to get this wrong, he said, "When people talk about the good old days, I say to the people, it's not the days that are old, it's you. What is important is that today is good." And you know what? Karl Lagerfeld was right on. If you're complaining about the good old days, it's not the days that were old, it's you. Because there's still plenty of stuff to love about today. And yes, things are different. And yes, there are more people. And yes, cars on the road are different. But the cars on the road aren't belching as much emissions into the air. And, you know, people aren't throwing as much garbage out the window as they used to, I guess. And I don't know, there's been some technological advances made. I mean, I'm able to stand here talking to you on my cell phone from the middle of the desert and broadcast this on YouTube, which every American can watch on their phone or TV if they want to. I didn't have to kiss any ass or lay on the casting couch to get my own TV show. I was able to just do it all myself. So there are plenty of things that are actually better about today. And that actually reminds me of a quote from another very wise person, not Karl Lagerfeld, but the very wise and the very beautiful Carly Simon. These are the good old days. Okay, think about that. You know, you go, oh, today sucks. 10 years from now, you're going to wish it was 2023.